What's up, folks? I'm Matt Basson. Welcome to Straight Shooting. Before we get into our show, got to remind you to like and subscribe anywhere you can find us. That would be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Got full episodes on YouTube. So, full show today. Got a lot of NFL and Major League Baseball signing news. So, let's get to it, AJ. We're going to start right here in the D. The Lions have added to their offense. They signed DJ Chark away from the Jacksonville Jaguars on a 1-year, $10 million deal. Have you looked into this? Have any thoughts on this?
Can we take a breath for a second? Because the last few days in NFL free agency, trades that have happened, MLB free agency, holy cow, like, can we just take a minute to go and catch our breath for a second, man? It's been nuts, right? It has been nuts.
Lots of names flying back and forth.
Yeah, crazy. Lots of names. This person signs, then this person signs. But going to the DJ Chark, I think it's a great signing for the Detroit Lions. It really is. You've got this situation where you have a need at wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of solves the question of what are they going to do with pick 32? Now we know we don't have to draft a wide receiver, thankfully, because I don't like using that type of draft capital on a wide receiver that's one of the more inconsequential positions in all of football. So, yeah, signing someone like Chark, not Allen Robinson, right, is big, especially on a 1-year, $10 million. Prove what you have, and if we like you, maybe we'll sign you. If not, go out and get paid, and we'll replace you with somebody else. It's nice to now have a third and now potentially fourth weapon because they've got Josh Reynolds, they've got DJ Chark, they've got Hawkinson, who's a top 5 tight end in the NFL when he's healthy, and the emergence of Amon-Ra St. Brown last year was incredible, right? A 5th round pick from Brad Holmes. Hopefully, he can turn into that diamond in the rough that they found. So I love it. It's one of those situations where you look at the decision made by Brad Holmes and you go, that was a smart move. That was a crafty move. And I appreciate that because we're not used to it from the Honolulu Blue.
I appreciate it because it stops all the fans from saying take a wide receiver in the first round. I don't have to listen to that as much. I still have to listen to it because people are still going to go out there and say they want to get London or whoever at the end of the first round. But DJ Chark, for 1 year, was phenomenal. Now, there are questions about how tough he is. There's questions about his dedication. Again, follows right into what you said. That's why this is a perfect move for a 1-year deal. Prove yourself to not just the Detroit Lions, but to the NFL that you do want to be one of the top 20 wide receivers and that you can put in the work and the commitment to be as great as possible. And then you're going to get some team to give you $18, $20 million a year on a 4-year deal, 5-year deal. But for 1 year, $10 million, it's, if you don't work out, oh well, not that big of a deal. If you do work out, you've got yourself paid, and maybe the Lions have found themselves, maybe you're happy in Detroit, and maybe the Lions have found themselves a, wide receiver for now, for the next 4 or 5 years.
And I mean, with it being only a 1-year rental, if he lights the world on fire at the beginning of the season, there's no reason why he doesn't get moved for draft capital the following year.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's very shrewd, right?
Right.
There's no reason, one, why he has to finish the season in Detroit, unless, they can't turn him into the type of capital that they want to turn him into. But it's a very, in my mind, high ceiling, low risk signing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've already seen what a season looks like without wide receivers. We had, 2 last year once we finally got Josh Reynolds?
Mm-hmm. 1.5. Josh Reynolds eventually emerged.
Right.
But
but we didn't get him until after the We claimed him off
But
the
I'm saying
waivers.
even when he eventually came to the Lions,
Sure.
it's not like
Yeah.
he jumped out the gate. All of a sudden he got 85 yards and a touchdown his first game. No, it took a little
It
time
did.
getting used to the offense.
It did, and, I think that him having, a camaraderie with golf prior to this is going to just help the situation along. But, yeah, I mean, DJ Chark, great move, Brad Holmes. Pat on the back, dude.
Yeah, I
Great
mean,
job.
and like what we saw for 1 year at least in Jacksonville is enough for me to think that it can be done again. And
For
if he
sure.
can do it in Detroit and he puts up 1,200 yards, 1,300 yards, something like that, it's a fantastic year and gets himself paid for the future. And maybe we get to use him as draft capital, or maybe he gets to be our wide receiver for the next few years.
Maybe.
So all around, I think it was a great play. Exactly what you said, a high reward, low risk play, 1 year, prove yourself. And I think he can do it. Like you said to start the show, AJ, lots of moves going on throughout the NFL over the last day or so. God, there's so many names. I don't even know where to go. We'll go to the Las Vegas Raiders. They signed a 4-time Pro Bowl pass rusher in Chandler Jones.
Right.
Great move for the Raiders. Chandler Jones, when he's healthy, he's one of the best in the business. Man gets double-digit sacks every year he's healthy. So smooth move by the Raiders. Well played. Chandler Jones going out to look, Arizona's a fun city. It's a fun area. Phoenix is fun, but it ain't got nothing on Vegas. So
it is not Vegas.
He puts up double-digit sacks in Vegas. At least I know that means he went to work.
Yeah. I mean, and what's going on in Arizona? That's my question. Like, you have the whole Kyler Murray drama at the beginning of all of this stuff that seems to have been resolved. Who knows, right? I mean, I'd let Kyler Murray just go cry in a corner somewhere and be like, listen, you just
put him in timeout.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, little fella. Go to the corner, cry as much as you want.
That's not nice.
But you're not moving like anywhere because you haven't proved anything. So that's a whole nother thing. But then, Chandler Jones, he's a free agent, tested the waters, obviously maybe he didn't get an offer like he got from Vegas from Arizona, but I just think, man, they're going to be hurting next year.
Yeah,
Cardinals are not going to be the same team that they were.
I've always wanted Chandler Jones on the Lions. Don't know why the Pats didn't keep him. Don't know why Arizona's not keeping him. The numbers speak for themselves when he's healthy and what he can do. Arizona losing defense. They lose an offense. Christian Kirk gone as well, losing one of their better wide receivers. Great, very good slot receiver. And their quarterback is still making waves for the wrong reasons. Definitely turmoil out there in Phoenix. Speaking of quarterbacks, Joe Flacco, did you know he's still playing?
I had no idea. I saw that on the run sheet, and I was like, what?
Yeah. Joe Flacco still playing quarterback, and he's returning to the New York Jets, which is apparently where he was last year, on a one-year deal worth $3.5 million. The Jets have been involved either by way of letting go of players or gaining new players quite a bit so far throughout this situation. In fact, they sent a former player in Marcus May. New Orleans Saints agreed to a 3-year, $28.5 million deal for him because they lost their free safety, Marcus Williams, to the Baltimore Ravens for $70 million for 5 years. So Williams got himself paid, and the Saints trying to replace that.
He did, and I had actually seen a rumor that Detroit was in on Williams.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of those too. They were trying.
But apparently he wanted to go to Baltimore more than he wanted to be with Detroit.
The man joined a Super Bowl ready team in the New Orleans Saints, and that Super Bowl ready team quickly became a semi rebuild because Drew Brees eventually retired and Jameis Winston got hurt last year. So it was a round robin of quarterbacks and not the year the Saints were expecting. And I think Marcus Williams was saying, I don't want to deal with this in Detroit. They're in a complete rebuild right now. Let's go to a team that at least makes the playoffs in the Baltimore Ravens and try and get it done there.
So let me ask you a question. Were you surprised at the Tennessee Titans releasing Julio Jones?
No. Look,
that's Julio, like the least shocking thing that I've seen.
By wear and tear on the body or just injuries in general, Julio looks like he's hit that cliff.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't stay on the field. This is one of the best wide receivers when healthy. Probably top 10 we've ever seen. Between size, speed, catching ability, power. Like, Julio Jones is up there.
He is.
But that ain't Julio Jones anymore.
No.
I mean,
And
just like, you saw with Tennessee this year when King Henry went down and they brought in ADAP, Adrian Peterson. That wasn't ADAP anymore. That's not all day Adrian Peterson.
no,
That is
not.
old Adrian Peterson that cannot hit it the way ADAP hit it. Julio Jones looking very much in that same category of it happens. You just
Especially
eventually.
Why pay him when you have someone lining up on the other side of the ball in AJ Brown? That's
because you need more than one wide receiver. And if Julio was healthy and showed that he could do it last year,
more than one wide receiver, but they, in a lot of ways, seem to profile the same very similarly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And sure, like a wealth of goods is a good thing to have, right? So having both of them, if they were both healthy, yeah, that makes you more effective. But if you see the potential in AJ Brown, you can save the money from Julio Jones and fill other needs, right?
Right.
So, least shocking news for me was Julio Jones.
More shocking news would be sitting in another quarterback situation, just south of you, quite a bit north of me because I'm no longer in the D. But in Cleveland, there seems to be some turmoil as Baker Mayfield, out of nowhere, drops this tweet about the past 4 years, been nothing short of life-changing, and thank you for, accepting me and my family, and this is God's plan through the process. I've given everything I have, blah, blah, blah. What? Where? How? Why did this happen? I didn't know.
Didn't he say something in the tweet
in Cleveland?
Like when you have to spell out this tweet has no hidden meaning, you have a hidden meaning. That's like the worst redirect of all time.
I mean, look.
I want to thank the fan for the last 4 years. I want to thank him for the last 4 years. This tweet has no hidden meaning, but it's been great. Thank you so much. But come on, man. We see the writing on the wall. Don't do that.
So there's actually a respect element here that I hope is what happened. So newer report comes out, and this is very disrespectful though, by ESPN's Chris Mortensen, that the Cleveland Browns, regardless if they get Deshaun Watson, because they are one of the teams rumored to be pushing very hard for Deshaun Watson, but they are saying regardless of if they get Deshaun Watson or not, they don't want Baker Mayfield as their quarterback because they want a quote-unquote adult as their quarterback for the future. So if Cleveland went to Baker yesterday and said to him, Baker, thank you for your time. We really appreciated everything you did. You got us to the playoffs last year. We were 1 game shy of winning the AFC North. You had a great year, a bunch of touchdowns, not that many interceptions. We were really hoping you would follow that up this year. You didn't. You regressed in every way, shape, and form, and the team regressed with you. And we don't see us winning with you. So we are going to be looking for a new quarterback. If they came out to him and told him that is the exact opposite of what so many professional athletes have to deal with when they find out on Twitter that their team is shopping for them.
Bobby Wagner.
This is Bobby Wagner, perfect example. So this is the exact opposite.
On blast.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. So this is the exact opposite of that. But maybe they weren't expecting him to immediately go to Twitter and release this letter to the city and fans.
Yeah, I mean, being in education, right? There's nothing I despise more than, immature people with social media.
That's really funny considering the friends that we have.
Well, I know, right? But at least they stay off of social media for the most part. They just
bring it to us.
Man, oh man, I got to get it out to my followers. No, you don't. Just chill. You're not as important as you think you are. So just
he's the quarterback of an NFL team. He's on, a bunch of commercials. It's,
Sure. But you're still not as important as you think you are, especially when you're putting up the numbers that you're putting up. You were brought in to win. You didn't win. You didn't hit
Well,
the
nobody wins in
milestones.
Cleveland. The only reason LeBron won in Cleveland is because the NBA helped him. The Browns are way worse off than the Cavaliers are. They're way worse off than the Indians are.
No, the Guardians.
I'm sorry, the Guardians.
They can't even win at picking their own names.
No, that's terrible.
They can't even win at picking their own names. But you know what? More power to them. They're in our division, and I'm very glad to be able to make fun of them for what seems like perpetuity in perpetuity because what an awful name. But anyways, yeah, it's Cleveland. Congratulations, Cleveland. You suck again. I don't know what to tell you.
We might have Cleveland listeners, you know.
I know,
we are
sorry
trying to
guys,
stay
but
out in the
you know what?
Midwest.
Take the 3.5-hour drive north and come visit us in a good sports city called Detroit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're the epitome of good sports over the last decade. Let me tell you.
Hey, but we are a sports city. It doesn't matter. We are a sports city, and we're on the rebound. I'd much rather be in the position of the Detroit sports fans right now than any team in Ohio, really. I mean, it's Ohio. It's the armpit of America.
Well, okay, so this is perfect. Because speaking of a sports city and a city that really hates pretty much the entire state of Ohio, but especially Cleveland, the Pittsburgh Steelers are trying to find a way to move forward without Ben Roethlisberger.
Right.
So they've decided to sign Mitch Trubisky to a 2-year, $14+ million deal. Clearly, AJ, the Steelers are not sold on Mason Rudolph taking over for Ben Roethlisberger.
They are not. And I saw a TikTok where somebody simulated the 2022 season with Mitch Trubisky as a Steelers quarterback, and they went 3-14 or something like that. So that's awesome.
He's not that bad.
Sure. Like, I mean, when he plays the Lions, he's not that bad.
Yeah, well.
And they don't play the Lions.
Their highest QBR of their career.
So I'm just saying, I mean, congrats to them. It was what, a 2-year,
14 plus $14.25 million deal.
14.25.
I mean, look, the man sat behind Josh Allen last year.
Sure.
Maybe he learned a few things.
You know what? Maybe this is a Jared Goff situation, right? Where you're our bridge to our next franchise quarterback. Maybe it is.
Don't say that out loud. Jared Goff doesn't know that. He thinks he's going to be the starter in Detroit till his career's done.
That doesn't even. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response.
Because
all the praise that I have just given to Brad Holmes, if Jared Goff is signed beyond his 2-year contract,
you're out.
I have no, like, listen, Captain Checkdown can serve a purpose right now, but when we want to win, he ain't going to win. The only reason why he was as successful in LA that he was is he could turn and hand the ball off to Todd Gurley behind a pretty doggone good offensive line that had a pretty doggone good defense as well. So it wasn't Jared Goff. So
I feel like there's some Matthew Stafford defending coming out of you.
No, absolutely not. Listen, Stafford also did not get it done here. Great quarterback. Had a million.
He didn't have anything like that Rams team.
No.
That won the Super Bowl.
I mean, the closest he got was 14 when our defense was what, a top 5 defense?
I think it was top 7.
Okay, so
I don't know if it got 5, but
still.
The only time he ever had a good defense, according to the numbers.
Hey, you know what? The Lions get out of Dallas with a victory and not get hosed.
Like we should have.
Our punter shanked that. They have a pretty good opportunity to at least make the Super Bowl.
Battle the Packers. Hey, Stafford's record against Aaron Rodgers is not terrible. You don't know.
And we know how Rodgers does in NFC Championship games, except for that one time. So it was fine, right? But anyway,
off track.
That is the past. We're relitigating the past. All I'm saying is Jared Goff, this Mitchell Trubisky situation seems like it could potentially be another bridge quarterback to a franchise guy.
Let me ask you a hypothetical. What if Mason Rudolph beats him for the job in practice?
I mean, maybe they're bringing him in as competition, right? I don't know. And, I mean, the quarterback crop next year coming into the draft is going to be a lot better than even this year. So maybe they have him for 1 year. They draft their quarterback next year, let him learn under or learn what not to do under Trubisky. And then and then send him off to start, you know? So to me, this is a stopgap situation. It's not really a where this is our quarterback of the future.
Well, I mean, the Steelers have all the other pieces for the most part to be a good football team. They have weapons to throw to. They have a great running back. Najee Harris is fantastic. Their defense is not bad either. So all you need right now is a quarterback to at least compete. Mitch Trubisky might be that guy for a year for them. We will absolutely find out. Speaking of scary defenses, I don't know what's going on in Los Angeles, but the Chargers now have one of the scariest secondaries I've ever seen, AJ. They took away cornerback J.C. Jackson from the Patriots on a 5-year, $80 million deal for a secondary that already has Derwin James, a do-it-all safety, and a young star corner in Asante Samuel Jr.
Mm-hmm.
This is a secondary I want no part of when it comes to throwing the football.
Did Asante Samuel Sr. who'd he play for? Because
I played for the Patriots. He played for.
And now I'm old enough to see his son play.
Mm-hmm, yeah, you watched him win a Super Bowl.
God, man, getting old sucks.
Yeah, that's
not even that old, but man, like
you telling me I'm older than you.
Yeah, you are.
What are you? You're 32?
Nah, I wish 35, man. I'm halfway to 70. That's what I keep telling people.
Yeah, I wish you would have been 32 as well, because it would have led better into our next headline, which would be the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah,
32-year-old left-handed reliever Andrew Chafin. We've been complaining about MLB free agency. It's finally starting to heat up. That is definitely not the headliner, by the way. Andrew Chafin is a great move for us, for our Tigers.
Right.
But, there's definitely some bigger names that have been flying through.
Yeah. Like, congrats, Tigers. Okay, let's move on. Good signing. It is a good signing. Like, truthfully, like, Chafin in the bullpen. I mean, you passed around that picture today where he's literally playing warm-up in a shirt that says failed starter, which is hilarious. And that's the, like, if that is the kind of like personality that he's going to bring to the clubhouse, I'm all for it. I just want to produce on the field, right? Righties are hitting 196 against him, lefties 170. So like he's been effective. He's been a solid guy. Had a really good year last year. So I mean, put him in the bullpen. He can come in, maybe that situational lefty, or use him to get outs when you need him. Hey, I'm all for it, man. It's a good signing, but ain't going to be one that you write home to mama about.
No.
Right? There are other ones that you would write home to mama about.
Yeah, I think especially if your mama's in Colorado.
For sure. Which, what the heck are they doing? My goodness. I honestly
Chris Bryant, apparently.
Well, yeah, but I honestly think that like their GM sits there and goes, let's flip a coin.
I mean,
time to sell Nolan Arenado and pay to have him go to the other team. But you know what? We'll turn around a couple years later when we're not really anywhere close to competing and sign Chris Bryant to a 7-year, $182 million contract.
AJ, look,
for Chris Bryant, but what the heck are the Rockies doing?
The Rockies are such an enigma of an organization. They had some phenomenal years.
They did.
Like just where they're just so much fun to watch. And look, you're playing up in Denver, a mile high, so balls fly out of the park anyway. But they had some offenses, throughout the 2000s that were really enjoyable, and they're just fun teams. And then they just had some horrendous baseball teams as well. Like there's no consistency up there.
I will tell you, whether good or bad, that is one heck of a place to catch a baseball game.
Oh, I bet.
It is gorgeous, Matt. We sat down the first base line when we went, and like you got the mountains in the background and the sunset. Like it was perfect, just absolutely perfect. But can't say the same about the organization. They're just, I don't know. You never know what they're going to do, right? They're, as somebody that I read today said, they are a riddle wrapped in a puzzle stuffed in an enigma. Like just it's nuts, right? Nobody knows. But good for Chris Bryant. He's going to put up some numbers. But
this is really good for Chris Bryant. I mean, because you and I, we mentioned him specifically when we were talking about arbitration stuff, a couple shows ago. So for a man that was, kind of, dragged around by MLB, getting a big contract for a bunch of years in
good for him.
Quite frankly, a beautiful, great place to live.
Oh yeah.
And he's going to look fantastic in black, purple, and white, which Rockies just don't ever change those unis.
Except for, man, I mean, people are putting the Rockies on blast, like literally scheduling tweets for 5 years from now when they're like, thought it was a good signing 5 years ago, huh? Way to pay for him to leave Colorado again. Like,
That's not nice.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. I mean, you brought it upon yourself, but I mean, yeah. Here's what I find interesting. Okay, I
Mhm.
read this tweet from John Heyman, Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Kyle Schwarber, all signed within 24 hours of each other. You
Mhm.
had Javi Baez into that mix when signing before the lockout.
Mhm.
Those four have gotten around, I think the number was $483 million, and all of
Uh,
them
let's
are
see.
ex-clubs,
Yeah, actually,
ex-Cubs.
I didn't see what numbers did Rizzo get re-signing with the Yankees.
I'll have to look it up.
We gotta
So
look because the other guys we have their numbers and stuff. I for some reason am missing the numbers on Anthony Rizzo.
I will look it up. So let's talk.
I mean, Schwarber going to the Phillies.
Schwarber went to the
Rizzo
Phillies
resigned to the
first.
Yankees. Javi obviously came to us.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Yeah,
Bryant's out in Colorado.
yeah. But $500 million in those four players. That I mean, the Cubs weren't
We're
going to
all
be able.
Cubs. Hey, they won a ring. They did their job in
They
Chicago.
did do their job, and that was a great night. They were helped by Mother Nature for sure, but I mean, goodness gracious, I can't
That,
get the breakdown there. Thanks, CBS.
that was where
But
Cleveland, because of the way it was Cleveland and Chicago. Was it Chicago that had because of how long it took them to get into the series? There were some pitching matchups that absolutely favored Cleveland in the front end of the series, but they had to weather the storm of avoiding Chicago coming back, which Chicago, did with a
yeah,
3-1 series lead.
yeah. I mean, it was just
Series.
everything lined up for the Cubs in 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty great to experience that, especially after like our conversations that we've had about growing up and like watching WGN with Harry Carey and Steve Stone in the afternoon, and then flipping to TBS and watching the Braves in the evening with Skip Carey and Don Sutton, right? Like it just incredible. So to see them win in 2016, it was them being. I mean, I have a Cubs ball literally right there that's
Yep.
signed by, their mid '90s team. Mark Grace is on there, who was my favorite player on those teams,
They're
and
mid-90s teams.
yeah,
That means the professor had already left for Atlanta.
yeah, he had been in Atlanta.
That
I
ball was
know.
worth a lot more money. That man's signature's on it.
Well, I mean, Sosa's on there. Um, Sosa would be on there. Scott Service would be on there. Maybe Mickey Morandini. I mean, it's all of them. Jim Riggleman, their manager. Like, just a great time. I don't see anything on Rizzo's contract detail. Oh, here you go. 32 million 2-year contract.
Okay.
32 million for Rizzo.
Speaking
Not
of our childhood baseball teams that we watched outside of Detroit, the Cubs, 5 years, $85 million to Seiya Suzuki. The
hoping that
name,
he's the next Shohei Ohtani, minus the pitching, right?
yeah,
I mean, that's what you're hoping when you sign somebody out of Japan like that. Sometimes it works out. I mean, Ichiro, Hideki
Matsui,
Matsusaki? Matsui, yeah, Matsusaki. I don't know
Hideki
why I said that.
Matsui.
Matsui, and then,
No, not the golfer.
obviously I'm sorry?
Not the golfer. You with the Matsuyama?
Yes, that's who I was that must have been who I had in my mind. No, Matsui, and then Shohei, right? Like, so you're hoping, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know much about him, but they won the sweepstakes.
Yep.
Hopefully he enjoys Wrigley Field and the frigid lake effect wind that comes off the lake in April and May, because it gets cold at Wrigley
Well,
Field.
the Atlanta Braves just rescued a man from the windiness of coming off of water in Matt Olson joining
Mhm.
the Braves on an 8-year, $168 million deal to play what position?
Well, DH maybe? I don't know. Like, he's a first baseman, can also play the outfield a little bit.
Don't the Braves already have a first baseman?
Not officially, they don't.
But they've had one for years. He's been their mainstay.
Oh my goodness. I know, but that's the thing, right, about all these clubs. Like, you look at what they're doing. The Rockies signing Chris Bryant. They also signed Jose Iglesias to a one-year deal. So are they just completely giving up on Trevor Story? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now the Braves like the fit with Matt Olson. They trade for him. It's like a trade-in sign, almost like you would see in the NBA,
Mm-hmm.
right? They trade for
Yeah, I
him,
mean
then
they send let's see, an outfielder, a catcher, two starting pitchers, and they're signing him for an 8-year, $168 million.
right. So if
I mean,
you're a Braves fan, you're kinda like, it was nice, Freddie. Re
I
I
mean,
mean, maybe it was insurance. Maybe they didn't feel comfortable in their talks with Freddie, and they had this on the table, and they're like, "Let's do it." And then
we
if
have
we
to
can
have a
get
first baseman.
Freddie close to our number, great. But if not, maybe it's time to move on. I don't know.
I
That
mean,
does
we're
not
universal
send out
DH
good
now, so
that does not send out good juju to try and re-sign
no, I'm sure Braves
Freddie
fans are
Freeman.
a little nervous about if Freddie Freeman's coming back. I mean, look, one of the new rules, universal DH. Maybe you talk to Freeman on a 2-year deal. You know, you be our DH, you save your body for a little bit, and then you can sign somewhere else if you want.
There's
No,
no way that's happening.
not happening.
No, there's no way that's happening because he's been in the league since '07, right? So he's been in for 15 years.
Mm-hmm. So he's looking for one more,
He's looking for one more. I gotta look up his
5-year
actual
deal
age.
to finish off his career.
Yeah, and I would say that, like, there's no way that he's gonna sign a less
He's
than
only 32.
he's only 32, so he's been in
I mean, he's the same age as the relief pitcher we just signed.
you're right.
He's the same age as Chafin. He's only 32. He's
Oh,
got
he's been with let me correct what I said. He's been with the organization since
oh yeah,
2007, but he debuted in 2010.
right.
Okay, let me make sure that we're correct. So he debuted in 2010,
I was there.
32 years old. That's a risk. If they were like, "Hey, come back and save your body for 2 years," then he's signing at 34, hoping to get a long-term like you play that game at the end of your career,
As a
right?
first baseman, hang on, as a first baseman slash DH, you are not putting that much wear and tear on your body into your 40s. You're not an outfielder. You're not a shortstop. Your job is to, with as long and as big as Freddie Freeman is, your
I mean,
job is to have one
he's
foot on the
6'5",
bag and
220.
catch or dig out the ball.
First base takes a lot more wear and tear. You sound like Brad Pitt in Moneyball. It ain't that hard.
It's incredibly hard.
It's incredibly hard. That's what you sound like, right?
Well, I'm
Like,
saying compared to other positions where here's the thing. He was talking about learning first base. Freddie Freeman knows how to play first base.
no, I understand. I just had to go for the low hanging fruit
Yep.
and call that out.
Just
But
got to hit me with Ron Washington.
it just, to me, interesting enough, who's his infield coach in Atlanta? Ron Washington. But
Mhm.
anyways, yeah, I just if I'm a Braves fan, I'm like, well, Freddie, I guess the writing's on the wall. It was nice while it lasted, but I don't see how they sign him to a 5-year deal. I mean, they've got money locked up in Acuna because they signed him like to an extension early and like basically bought out his arbitration years.
I mean, they got Eddie Rosario on the cheap, 2 years, 18 mil just recently.
I mean, that's another. I mean, we talked about that a long time ago when they were making that playoff run. That was a
Huge signing.
huge signing for them, or huge transaction for them last season. But
Mhm.
now a very big and good. I mean, Rosario's a nice player.
Yeah.
You got him for $9 million. I mean, $9 million a year.
I
It's a
mean,
great signing, and I mean,
might
but
be able to. I mean, compared to what other people are getting for their numbers. I mean, look.
I
Speaking
don't
of their
know,
hitters, Nelson Cruz, Washington Nationals, 1 year, $15
right?
million deal.
43 years old.
Yeah. See, exactly. Tell me,
Do you
Freddie
know?
Freeman can be doing this in 11 years.
Do you know what I'm thankful for? I don't have to see Nelson Cruz in a Twins uniform and pitch to him anymore. For crying out loud, that man, I don't know what it is about when he played for Texas, when he played for the every time he's in Comerica Park or we're playing them, it's like, my goodness.
I mean, I think there's a few teams that feel that way about Nelson Cruz.
And it was the same. It used to be the same way with Mike Napoli too. Remember him from the Red Sox? Killed us in game 3 of the 2013 ALCS, and after that, I was like, "You know what? We should just sign him next year so we don't have to play against him." Because, man, oh, man,
That's what we did with Javi Baez.
no, he was not a tiger killer. Cruz is a legitimate tiger slayer. If you can't beat him, sign him so you don't have to try and beat him.
According to Chris Ilitch, he wanted to sign this man, and all the times we played him when he was a Cub, he was like, God, I just want to sign this guy so I don't have to play this guy. That's what Chris Ilitch said anyway.
Are you making that up, or did he really say that?
I swear, that's what I read.
I'm not talking about Chris Ilitch tonight. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Not tonight. We don't want to go one show without doing that. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to. So let's move on as quickly as we can.
Absolutely.
It's bubbling. It's bubbling, and I'm about to just start spitting.
All right, AJ. I want to do a little word association with you.
All right, that sounds good. Let's do it.
I'm going to name a few players, and you tell me what comes to mind with this group of players. LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, and Karl Anthony Towns.
Well, they're all pretty good basketball players. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
So good, in fact, that didn't every one of them score at least 50 points in the last week or something?
Yep, about last week and a half. 7 different players, at least 50. LeBron got it started with 50. Kyrie followed him up immediately with 50. KD dropped 53. Tatum 54. LeBron said, I can top that, 56. Karl Anthony Towns said, I can top that with 60 and 32 in the third quarter. And Kyrie said, well, how about I drop 60 in just 35 minutes of playing time? Unbelievable. I mean,
what is happening to basketball? Seriously, what is going on? Are the rims bigger?
Nope. Rims are not bigger. Smaller? The rules have changed and been laxed in certain areas. The fouling has gotten, the offensive fouling at least, has gotten called a little bit more, which is nice. They're not doing the whole, this is the first year since James Harden exploited the rule and everyone else in the NBA followed suit of, if I make it look like I'm even remotely kind of sort of not really shooting the ball while jumping into a player, I'm going to get a call for it. Not anymore. They're still not calling traveling. So these guys can take 7 steps to get their move off.
Who was it the other week? Was it Curry's brother, Seth Curry? Was it him that got an outlet pass and went doop 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 and then started dribbling?
I see it at least 3 times a game without a call from everybody.
Oh my goodness. I mean, he caught the ball outside the 3-point wing, nearly was at half court before he put the ball down. And everybody, I think they were playing against Milwaukee, and everybody in Milwaukee State was like, that's traveling. What is going on here?
Yep.
But that's the thing, right? That's what I guess I was kind of getting at with that question is the evolution of the game has changed from when we grew up watching with the Bad Boys, right? I was way too young for the Bad Boys, but I knew of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, my team was the going to work, 04 Pistons. And I mean, they were defensive specialists, put you on lock. I mean, your Lakers felt that pretty heavily in game 5 of that.
Yep. One of the best sports related, cardboard, signs I've ever seen was in that finals. A full house beats a pair. And it absolutely did.
And it did.
It had a full house, and the Lakers had Shaq and Kobe and nobody else. One player besides Shaq and Kobe scored in double digits in that finals. One. And it was Slava Medvedenko in game 5 when the series was already over.
And that's what's interesting to me about this kind of new NBA in a way, right? Is there's
Scoring numbers have ballooned.
Just entirely ballooned because nobody's really playing defense
Well, the
anymore.
way the offenses are, if you're going to play defense, you better have all 5 guys or 4 and leave the center near the free throw line at the perimeter.
And you
Because
have to, right?
that's what
Because
the play is now. The play isn't look, when I was little,
you don't get to the lane and dish out. You just step back and then
mhm,
step back farther and then
mhm,
step back farther.
mhm.
It's insane the range that some of these shooters have. I watch them and I'm just like in awe of who like they're just able to hit from anywhere on the court with ease. I mean, we've all seen the video of Steph Curry warming up, right? The
Mhm.
free throw one-legged, then he steps back, hits that one, nothing but net, like hit the net in the same spot almost every time. It's incredible. And it's a thing of beauty to watch for sure. It just I like a good defensive
I would
team.
like action to be closer to the hoop again. You want to
Sure.
blow a modern NBA player fan's mind? Show them the Celtics and Lakers in 1984 in the finals. It is nothing but getting as close as possible to the basket
Right.
before taking a shot. Every once in a while, there's an outside shot, but it is literally getting as close as you can, no matter how many guys are there to fight you. It's getting as close as you can before putting up a shot.
And it's I hate to be like that guy that's like, "Oh, get off my lawn," right? But having coached youth basketball for a number of years when I lived in Texas, this evolution is not good for youth basketball
No.
because every player that is not Steph Curry thinks that they're Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just chuck it from anywhere. And you almost have to go back to the Hoosiers and be like, 5 passes and then you can shoot. It's it's it,
It's a
it's kind of,
complete
it
lot.
bleeds down, right? They see what is happening on TV. They think that they think that they can go out and just throw up shots and they're going to go in like Steph does, not understanding that there is very specific work and repeatability with his shot that makes him the best shooter of all time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just it's dangerous, but I mean they'll learn. And they would look at that 1984 film and they'd be like, "This is boring. This is not exciting." Right?
I don't understand what a giant game of horse is exciting to watch.
Right.
Because that's all I see when the guys go running up and down the floor and all they're doing is jacking up threes. You don't
No.
want me as your basketball coach, AJ. If I'm your basketball coach, I'm not letting anybody shoot from the 3-point line until they have proven to me that they know how to drive to the basket, how they
Yeah.
know how to do a post move. And if anyone does a 3 before I'm satisfied with their down low work, they're running suicides
Yeah, so
or whatever they're called now. Apparently, we can't call them that.
good luck with that, Coach Basson.
Yep. I'll be
Because
fired very, very quickly.
that ain't gonna fly, especially with the helicopter parents. They're like, my kid shoots like Steph. Eh,
Yeah, sure he does. Yeah.
no, maybe if Steph were blindfolded and shooting left-handed backwards, but no, he doesn't.
All right, AJ, we are winding down on the show, but we got one more thing we got to tell the people because as
Mhm.
of this recording, the game is tomorrow. This will be out before the game tips off at 12:15 Eastern time. It is the first game of the first round. They stopped calling it the second round. Thank God. The real
Yeah.
first round of the NCAA tournament after the first 4. Michigan Wolverines, the Colorado State Rams, and now the Michigan Wolverines are going to be without starting guard Devontae Jones. Now, you're a Michigan Wolverines fan, so you should know a little more than I do about this man, being a Michigan State Spartan fan. But I do remember this man at Coastal Carolina, and this is heartbreaking for any basketball fan.
Yeah, concussion suffered in practice is the reason, correct? If
Mhm.
I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But we talked last week about the matchups, right, with Colorado State a little bit, or not last week, but last episode. I'm sorry about the matchups, right?
Right.
Um, and so this really puts those matchups in a bit of a predicament. Because yeah, we still match up size wise,
Right.
fine
You still got the
with
down low
Colorado
advantage, no
State.
question about it.
But as you know, your Throwing Stones episode that aired today, you guys mentioned Isaiah Stevens, who
Yep.
was supposed to be
He's their second guy.
the guy that
Right
Jones
behind David
drafted.
Roddy.
Yeah, and so like that makes me a little bit nervous because if I remember correctly from watching that show, isn't Stevens like boom, boom, boom,
Yep.
like
Lightning quick.
quick, fast, get to the bucket if he needs to.
Yep.
Who's gonna keep up with him at that point?
It
And
was going to
so
be Devontae Jones. It was supposed to be Devontae Jones.
it puts tomorrow at 12:15 in a little bit of a. I go back to what I said last episode, flipping that coin with Michigan. I
Right.
hope
Well,
that they get out of this first round as it should be called, but this makes that a little bit more scary.
right. Again, Hunter Dickinson has the absolute advantage down low. They don't have the bodies to bang with him, and the second chance points should absolutely be there. But when it comes to guarding Isaiah Stevens, it was going to be Devontae Jones. And now they're going to have to do a round robin of true freshman Frankie Collins, who has appeared in 28 games for them and hasn't played too much. You got Eli Brooks, your shooting guard, and there's Terrence Williams II as well for an extra body to throw in there if they want to. But it's definitely, this is a blow to the Michigan Wolverines because this could be a difference maker. I hope it's not. You know, Michigan is still expected to win, and I think the second chance points will, be the difference maker. The rebounds will be the difference maker. But if it's not, this is something that we're going to look back on and say, what if? And I'll feel really bad for Devontae Jones because this is a guy, graduate transfer, never got to the dance with Coastal Carolina, chose Ann Arbor to go to a great school. As much as I hate you guys, I will never say otherwise about the University of Michigan.
How much did your stomach just turn when you said that? Did you throw up a little bit in your mouth?
No. I don't have a problem in, university-wise, academics, no problem. But to go to a school like this with a chance to play for Juwan Howard, and he got to do that, obviously, but the chance to go be a part of this dance and to have this concussion be the reason that you don't get to play. And if your team doesn't get to the second round, then you were just there as a spectator. That's just soul-crushing. I feel terrible for the man if that's the case. I hope it's not. I hope Michigan wins tomorrow, if only so that Devontae Jones gets a chance to play in the second round.
My question is, what are you doing 2 days before your tournament game that's going to leave one of your starters with a concussion in practice?
Well, I didn't see an exact date of when this happened. There's rumors that it happened during the Big Ten tournament practice, afterwards. I'm not certain when this happened, but if you ever watched video of Izzo's practices,
no,
those boys go hard.
Oh, I'm sure you go hard in practice for sure. And it honestly, I asked that question tongue in cheek because
Michael Jordan punched Steve Kerr in the face in practice.
It's a fluke thing, right? Like, I get that. I just am like, whew. Like you said, I hope this doesn't come back to bite them. But you know what? If it does, I hate to say it, but it would be par for the course for this season for Michigan basketball.
Well, maybe not, because they lost their last game, and lately the way these things have been working for them, they follow up a loss with a win, then they follow up that win with a loss. So hopefully this is the win, and he gets a chance to play on the weekend.
They've had a lot of time off since then, and we know that rest is rust. So,
well, both schools are doing that at least. So
I guess
they still got a good chance. Colorado State.
So what you're telling me is it could be a really ugly beginning to the 12-15 tip.
I don't think so. I think this should be one of the better games, I think, on Thursday. I don't know why they're starting with it. I don't know why you don't start with a 116 where the spread's 28 points and you're not expecting a game. This is a 1.5 point spread. You're expecting a basketball game. Why are we starting with this when most people are still working?
Because everybody's going to be streaming this at work tomorrow.
This is also very, very true.
You know that. Right. Truthfully, Thursday and Friday of March Madness opening weekend should be national holidays that everybody has off.
I completely concur with that statement. All the bosses out there, you heard it here.
You heard it here first, folks.
All right, folks. We appreciate you all being with us again tonight. He's AJ Riley. I'm Matt Basson. We're straight shooting. Don't forget to follow us, like us, subscribe, any place you can find us. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. We got another one of these coming up in a few days. So we appreciate you guys being with us tonight, and we'll see you guys next time.